Ojeju Babafemi. He's a special advisor to the President of Political Affairs and also a governorship aspirant for Ekiti State. Our lovely senator here, I've known him for many years and he's a fantastic uncle. I'm glad to be here to interview him regarding what he's doing for Ekiti State and why he was to be the governor, and you know, his political motivation and so on and so forth. So we are going to just quickly briefly, because today the Ekiti State engineers are all here to support him for his governorship aspirant. So hopefully we'll know that by God's grace he will get it. So governor to be. Let's put it that way. Governor to be, by God's grace. Because I'm not just saying this, I'm not supposed to be supporting. Some people will take offense that I'm supporting, but because I know he's a very amiable person and you know, he has a very clean record to date. So, and I know his passion for, he's been on the movement like myself, human rights, for many, many years. And I would like you to talk to the bosses why they should vote for you in Ekiti State. A little background of yourself, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Senator Babafemi Ojeju. I come from Ekiti State. I'm the special advisor to the President of Political Matters. Prior to now, I was a senator of the Federal Republic. Prior to being senator, I was a journalist, you know, in Lagos for 28 years. As you have earlier, you know, said, I was a human rights activist, pro-democracy activist, and a journalist for good governance. And we fought, you know, very hard against the military in the days of Abacha, Babangida, and all of those jackboots leaders then. And we paid a very big price for this. Between 93 and 1998, I was arrested and locked up for about 15 times. The longest of which was 9 months under Abacha. I was in detention till Abacha died, until Abiola died, and was released sometimes in 1998. You know. So that briefly is the background. You know, I have a degree in English and a master's degree in political science, and you know, I've been around for some time.
Oh, yes.
You know, yeah, and it's my pleasure to be here with you and to be on this program. Well, election is coming up next year in Ekiti State. INEC has not declared campaign open, so to say I'm a candidate will be an illegality.
Well, so, you see, the support.
So, yes.
It's quite overwhelming.
Yes, I know. What I'm saying is that if INEC has not opened up campaign, you will be going against the rule to say that you are an aspirant or say you are a candidate. But what we are saying is that there are problems that we need to solve in Ekiti. And we are going about sensitizing people, you know, all our indigenous, all our citizens across the country, back home in Nigeria, about the problems we are confronting and the need for all of us to come together to find solutions to those problems. And that's what we are going about to. And as soon as INEC gives the go ahead, then we then decide whether to contest or not to contest. Okay.
I think you're right, actually. I don't want people to think that our lovely senator is here
jumping the gun.
But it's quite overwhelming to see a lot of people here today supporting the senator to become, you know, part of the 2018 election coming up.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people, like my previous colleague who has just left, was asking, why did you, you know, decide that you feel this is a time for you to come out and say to the people of Ekiti State, I want to be, you know, leading you positively.
Right. Yes, our people have a saying that each time I go back to Ekiti and I see poverty, I see diseases, I see frustration, I feel frustrated myself. You know, I feel very bad, very sad. I often leave Ekiti unhappy. And for me, you know, the problems confronting Ekiti is not a problem that requires nuclear science to solve. No, it's just about commitment, determination. You know, if a leader is focused and you set goals for yourself, you can solve the problems of Ekiti. Ekiti is very compact, very small. From one end of Ekiti to the other end, you probably have to drive for about 1 hour. I've driven within London for almost 1.5 hours today. So that means London itself is bigger than Ekiti State. So the thing is that, and our people are homogeneous. We speak the same language. And every town in Ekiti has Ekiti behind its name. So it's a place where you can actually experiment and make as example to the rest of the country. So, and the population, it's just about 2 million, So I believe that if we are determined and we come together as one, both, people at home and those in diaspora, we can solve the problems. What are these problems? Problem of unemployment, problem of dilapidation of infrastructures, problem of, not so quality education, problems of diseases, we don't have good hospitals, we don't have potable water, the environment generally. And these are things we could solve. You have people coming out of school, nobody's addressing the issue of what do they do when they come out of school. They don't have the quality education that can make them competitive, whether in Nigeria or outside Nigeria. You have to address all of these issues. You have vast land, uncultivated, and people are hungry. You need to change their orientation and let them know that, look, you can't wake up as an adult, sit on your hand and be looking for manna from heaven. Whoever does not work does not eat. So you have to get people back to working. Majority of young people in Ekiti today are not working. You just see them walking around the street aimlessly and listlessly, doing nothing. I think something went wrong along the line to our people. Our people are known to be hardworking. They are known to be committed to whatever they do. They are known not to be beggarly. Ekitis are not known to be beggars. But over the years, our value system has changed, and we've turned to something else. So you need a new leadership, a new orientation. You have to tell people to work. As I said earlier on, the food market in Lagos, just some 3.5 hours to Ekiti, it's about 5 billion per day. Wow. If you just take $1 billion of that 5 billion and provide, vegetables, plantain, yam, rice, fruits, that is worth 1 billion per day, and service that market in Lagos, we will be rolling the wealth in Ekiti. So we need to address ourselves to the fact that we are an agrarian society. Our society right now cannot support, high-tech industries. Therefore, let's go back to town to farm. Let's use all the available space to cultivate, plantain, banana, rice, palm produce, yam, cocoa yam, and forestry. If we do that, there will be so much money coming to us to run our schools, to run our hospitals, to provide clean, and potable water for our people. If you go to the function, if you say that, look at the faces of these people, you see that they are deficient. You see a man of 45 looking like a man of 65. Because it's not taking in enough calories. This is so because we've not given them enough regulation to them. Go on, tap your environment, and feed yourself with whatever you are able to produce. A farmer is going to the farm, is holding a loaf of bread. Why do you go to the farm? If you are going to be eating bread on the farm, so there is a lot of problems there that needs to be solved, and that if we all come together, we want to tap the experience of people who are here in the diaspora, add it to the experience of who are at home, and then we solve all these problems. Many of those who are here, we have to come back home and participate. I'm serious, People have experience in how things are done in so many different ways, in healthcare, in service, provision. Let us find a way of bringing them back so that they can then influence those who are at home and get people organized into cooperatives, into doing things that will generate income. People are talking of ITR. Where do you get? How do you tax people who are doing nothing? You know, what do you tax? What are you taxing?
I wanted to ask you, being the senator of Republic of Nigeria representing Ekiti State, people might ask, how are you able, with all the issues that is in Ekiti State, how were you able to implement? Because people would like to know more of the legality, the policies, the infrastructure, how you were trying to implement those laws in order not just for Ekiti State, but the whole of Nigeria. What was your role?
Well, unfortunately, when I was a senator, I was in the opposition. And in those days and times, you know, you can only have your say. You will not have your way as an opposition. You know, I talked, I shouted, I addressed press conferences, but again, you could only talk, you could only have your way. You could only have your say, you would not have your way. But having said that, you know, people recognize that, you know, you fought for the interest of your state. And there was a particular budget where they allocated billions of naira for roads construction in Ekiti State. And I look at the details and I find out that the roads, the so-called roads they want to construct in Ekiti State are in Kebbi, they are in Nasarawa and others. And I said, no, I will not take this. He said that you allocate money to Ekiti and the roads are in Ekiti. You can't do this kind of thing. And I stalled the process and make sure that was expunged from the budget. The role of the lawmaker actually is not about constructing road, building houses, providing water, or providing power. It's about, you know, representation. You know, you call attention to the problems facing your constituency. You know, and then you make sure that the right laws are made. But under the government of PDP, then you know we were just shouting. They were not listening, and that was why at the end of that 4 years they were thrown out. You know, of government. Now we are in government. We are trying to look at how the problems could be solved, and that's why, you know, as an individual who comes from Ekiti, who also works within the presidency and know all the programs that are available to our people, I'm not too happy that we are not taking benefit and advantage of some of the lofty ideas that the federal government is propagating.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you very much, Senator. I was also going to ask regarding the special needs things. What are the things that you've done in your community that would, well, you know, when people say, okay, Senator Ojoju Babafemi is not just somebody who has been like, you know, known for as a human rights activist, but things that we can pinpoint. And the reason why those in the diaspora of Ekitis, in the diaspora can say, you know what, this is our man to lead us in 2018.
Okay. As a senator, one thing I recognized, you know, again, which also derives from our own background, was that there are quite a lot of our mothers who are responsible for the education of their children, who do not have the capital to conduct their petty trading. What I did then was to identify 10 women per ward. There were 7 wards in my constituency. I organized them into cooperatives, and I made available to each of the women 25,000. So I gave 570 women 25,000 each to do their petty trading. I remember as growing up, my mother used to sell garri in the market, and the entire way then, I'm not sure, was up to 5 naira or 10 naira. Exactly. It is from all of that we eat, that we ate, and that we sent to school. So a woman who sells fish, vegetable, fruits, and whatever, if you give her 25,000 naira, you know, if she's very prudent, she could be able to manage that and then provide for our children. That was that. We did that. We had a big ceremony where we did that. My wife bought Ankara for the 570 women, bought cages for them. We gave them that grant to do their business. That was one. I ensured that in some towns of my constituency, for example, Ibemo, Aramoko, Okimesi, I built town halls for them as senator. The town halls are still there. I did that. And I sponsored quite a lot of young people in school who were indicated and were not either in law school or in medical school or as a graduate, and I have records of all of that. Then again, I sank borehole in the 57 wards of my constituency. And the other one which I did, of course, which I have not completed, is a big project around the Ureji Dam. You know, I wanted to make Ureji Dam a center for Leo and entertainment in Ado-Ekiti. So I proposed a project worth about 650 million naira, and it was accepted by the Ministry of Culture at that time. The project is still under construction, and we did several other things. Training for women on how to make soap, on how to do a number of other things at that period. Beyond having to help people who not pay school fees, people who have problems paying their medical fees, people who want to do their homes, people who want to do the funeral of their religious and all that. So we did quite a lot.
This is quite impressive. This is quite.
Oh,
God bless you. This is quite impressive to hear some, a politician come all the way down to let us know the things that you have been doing, because a lot of times we don't get to see all this. Now, what I wanted to, before I finish, and then I'll leave you lovely Ekitis to do your bits. I wanted to ask anything for the special needs. What are your plans, your future plans? Because at the moment you can only give us the little basic stuff. We don't want you to talk too much about your manifesto because it's still early days. So things that you feel that because we should not leave them behind.
Okay. Well, for those who are disadvantaged, the handicapped, society has to take care of them, and that is one of our one of our unsavory ways in Nigeria. We do not care about the handicapped. If you look at the constructions in Nigeria, environment, public offices, nobody thinks about the handicapped at all. We have to take a very, very strong look at that and help people. Society is judged by the way they take care of the young, the aged, and the handicapped. If you want to know whether a site is a good site or a bad site, look at the way they deal with their very young people, look at the way they deal with their aged people, and those who are handicapped. For me, it's a sense of concern, and it's an area where I need to look critically at. You do not neglect people that God has created in that manner. They create themselves in that manner. Let them go to school. Let them be able to go to school. Let them be able to be engaged, meaningfully. When they come out of school, let them be able to live a decent life. And for me, it's mandatory in the society. And fortunately for us, we don't even have many disabled people, in Ekiti. But those who are, whether they are blind, whether they are deaf and dumb, whether they are autistic, whether they cannot use their lips, we have to find a way of taking care of them. Yeah. Same thing with old people. We must not neglect our old people. We are all going to get old, of course. So if you are going to get old, you must start preparing for those who are old.
Yes.
So we have to take care of that. And then for young people, orphans, who do not have parents, you have to take care of that. I remember as a senator, there is an orphanage in Ushekiti. I was invited to look at the place, and I went in there and I could see that very bright, orphans were there. I bought parts and computers for them and two printers at that time as a senator. And one of them, when I went there, had an admission to study in the University of Ilorin. I took on that and I sponsored him throughout the state University of Ilorin. So he's a graduate today, and we are very good friends.
I think that deserves a round of applause from all the people. Thank you so much, Senator. Honestly, I'm quite overwhelmed, even though you're my mom and you know me now. But still, it's good coming here, and we will be covering your Heritage Television to make sure that people are able to watch you speak, and the reason why the lovely Ekiti people are here, and to talk about your passion, your motivation, and the consistency of encouraging all the Ekitis in diaspora to come back home to do something constructive and help to build Ekiti State. Even though I'm not from Ekiti, but by association now. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Well, this is Facts of Life with Abilicious. It was great talking to the wonderful Senator Baba Femi Ojoju, or either way you like it. And he's a great uncle, and I thank you guys for having us here. So we'll be doing the live coverage. I can see my people are here already to cover your events. So thank you so much for having us. God bless you. Bye-bye, sir.